Good afternoon and welcome again to Lunch with Lisa. We are well into our third week here. And as you know, I'm the CEO of Nickerson. We are a PR and marketing agency in Boston and Miami. And we are using this webinar as an example of how you can pivot during this time. You know, I don't know that anybody wants any business development calls right now, but if you need us for public relations or marketing, you can see from just even what we're doing with this webinar, how great we are at it. So we're super excited again to bring you another great host, Peter Shankman, who he just jumped up, but he's going to be back in just 1 second. If you're not familiar with him, is an entrepreneur, five-time author, 4 bestselling, best known also for founding and later selling HARO. If you are in public relations or you're a reporter, you know HARO. It's help a reporter out. And he sold that to PR Newswire. He's also recognized for radical new ways of thinking about customer experience, social media, PR marketing, advertising, and ADHD. So for those of you who know me, this is fascinating to me. For many, many years, people would say, you know, you're ADD, right? You know, you're ADHD. And I'd say, yes, I do. And I would find all sorts of different ways to compensate for that, but didn't really realizing that's what I was doing until I read his book. And if you have not read the book, Faster Than Normal, Turbocharge Your Focus, Productivity, and Success with the Secrets of the ADHD Brain. And he really references it as a superpower, right? So I read this book and thought, oh my God, I had no idea that all of these things that I was doing was really just to manage an ADD, ADHD. And then Bob, my significant other, he read the book and said, oh my God, I understand you so much better now. And it really helped me with everything in my life to understand it not as a deficit of sorts. It's just like, I'm also short, right? So you're tall, you're short, you have just different ways that your brain works and chemicals work. And that's what the book is all about. He also is the host of the podcast Faster Than Normal, which is the #1 podcast for ADD, ADHD. And I think that this applies to more than just, you know, the regular person or the ADHD person. I think it really relates to anybody to learn about productivity and, of course, the people around you. Peter, you're back. Glad you're there.
I was actually here for about 4 minutes. I just didn't realize that my camera was off.
Oh,
off my camera.
I was like, well, I'm just going to keep going. And you're a dad. You're a 2-time Ironman triathlete, which, you know, I've been doing triathlons and never to the level of Ironman, though I've been talking about it for a long time. So that is amazing in itself. You're a Class B licensed skydiver, which I will never do, and an avid Peloton rider. So welcome to today. Thank you.
Good to be here.
Yeah. As always, just so people know, we have our poll up, the How Are You Managing from Home poll. I love it. I hope I can work from home forever. It's working pretty well for now. I can't wait to get back to the office. So this changes daily, looking to see how everyone's doing. And as always, we have the chat. So please come into the chat and let us know you're here. So Peter, where do we want to start?
Where's the option on the poll for the F this crap? I need to get the hell out of my apartment.
I guess that would be, I can't wait to get out of work, I guess.
Well, I mean, I work from an airplane, right? 95% of my time is spent on airplanes, running around the world giving speeches. And what I realized is that if you take away my speaking, I actually work about 90 minutes a week, right?
Right.
But I'm on a plane. And it's funny, Franklin Davis just said, I'm late as always, I have ADHD. No, Franklin, you're not. It's not ADHD. You just need to manage your time better. It's like, there are a lot of people out there, it's like, Jane, the book is called Faster Than Normal. And there are a lot of people out there, it's like, I can't find my keys, I must have ADHD. No, build a friggin' hook next to your door.
Right.
You know, it's like, it's offensive to people with ADHD that, I must have ADHD. No, you're just a moron. You know, there are, I find that the thing about ADHD is that it is very real, but the fun part is that it has tremendous benefits as well.
Right. I think so.
Oh, I know so. Yeah. I mean, I've been doing this, going on, all my life. Mm-hmm. You know, when I was a kid, it wasn't ADHD. It was called sit down, you're disrupting the class disease.
Right.
And
right.
As a public school kid in New York City, we didn't have ADHD in the 70s and 80s. It was, sit down or, whoop your ass. And so I learned over time that all the things that I was doing that would get me in trouble were actually ways to sort of use my smart brain. And over time, I was able to turn that into a very successful career. I've started and sold 3 companies. I've written 5 best-selling books. I do all these things, and I'm a talking head on all the major TV networks. And the key for me is just understanding sort of how the brain works and giving it the tools it needs to focus. I said this before to you. I have 2 speeds. I have Namaste and I'll cut a bitch, and there's no middle ground. If I order a pizza for lunch, I'm not going to have one slice and put the rest in the fridge. I'm going to eat the pizza. There's no leftover pizza. That's not a thing when you're ADHD. And so, it's why I don't drink anymore. I wouldn't have one drink. I'd have 6, and then I wouldn't get up the next morning. I wouldn't work out. So, my day starts around 3:30 in the morning. I get up and I work out. I exercise first thing in the morning.
Well, that's not an ADD thing. That is you just are a morning person because
actually, no, it's an ADHD thing.
Really?
Because if I don't exercise for an hour to 2 hours every morning, ADHD simply means that your brain doesn't produce enough dopamine, serotonin, and adrenaline.
I meant the getting up at 3:30 in the morning because I'll stay up till 3:30.
Wait.
Okay.
Breathe. So what happens is when you so I'm a single dad of a 6-year-old, right? She gets up around 6:30, 6:45 in the morning. If I didn't exercise for a couple hours before that, I would not have the dopamine, serotonin, and adrenaline that my brain doesn't make because I'm ADHD, and that's necessary to have a good day, to be focused, to be on point for her, to be productive at work. So I can't go out at 7 a.m. and go for a run in Central Park because she's 6 years old. Right. So the only time I have to do that is 3:30 in the morning. And I can't, my other option is not doing that and not being as productive and not being happy. And so I sleep in my gym clothes. My lights and my shades come up automatically at 3:15. And I'm awake and on my Peloton bike by 3:30 in the morning. And I work out till about 5 o'clock. On average, I do about 20 to 30, 40 miles a day on the bike. And then I will shower, change, have my first cup of coffee. By the time at this point, it's probably like 6:15. Gives me about half an hour to breathe, decompress, get everything settled before she wakes up. And I'm just a better person for it. So one of the things I found is that, and look, if you're a night person, more power to you, right? Whatever works for you, works for you. But find what works for you and stick with it. I have 2 sides to my closet. One, and they're labeled. One says office/travel, and it's t-shirt and jeans. The other side says speaking/TV, and it's button-down shirt, jacket, and jeans. Because if I had to sit there and look at my vests, my suits, those are all in a different closet. If I look for that every day, I remember that sweater. Oh, Rachel gave me that sweater. I wonder how she's doing. I should look her up online. 3 hours later, I'm naked in the living room on Facebook. I haven't left the house. Right. So understand yourself. Understand how your brain works. Well,
but that was the interesting thing about reading the book was things like sleeping in your clothes to work out the next morning. I do that. There were so many things I found in the book that I was like, I do that. And I didn't realize that I was compensating in some ways, right, in order to manage it. And it wasn't until I read the book that I felt like, no, this is normal. This is why I can multitask so many things. This is why I have so much energy all the time. But I see where I'm compensating now, and I learned to use it more as a superpower. I learned to make sure I was doing the things that I need to do, just as you're saying. And part of it was, yes, I was doing triathlons, not an Ironman yet, but triathlons, and I was running marathons because I knew that I needed an hour a day at least in order to be functioning, or I just didn't feel right. So again, that's where it changed my life. We're watching a lot of comments start to come in on the side here, and you do talk about this in the book. How do you stay focused to write 5 books? So tell your trick to that one, because I like that one.
So I get on a plane. I've written. When I wrote Zombie Loyalists, I flew to Asia to write the book. I didn't have to be in Asia. I just had to write the book. So I flew with my laptop, my power cord, and a sweatshirt. I wrote chapters 1 through 5 on the flight to Tokyo. I landed in Tokyo, had a coffee, took a shower in the lounge, got back on the same plane, same seat. 2 hours later, wrote chapters 6 through 10 on the flight home. Landed 34 hours later with a book. It worked.
There you go. And you do what you need to do. Yeah. So another thing that people are saying, where did that one just go? So this actually relates us to part of what we're talking about today is working from home when your whole schedule has changed, your patterns have changed. If you're ADHD and there are certain things that you're used to doing to compensate for yourself and to function, and now you're working from home, or on this, or you have kids that are ADHD and they're home, how are we compensating and how are we changing this? And somebody even asked, how do you manage an argument with an ADHD person? And well, again, we're all home. So these are sort of a lot of questions at once that we can talk about.
Well, I mean, I wrote a piece about 10 ways to live your life when you love someone who has ADHD. And it's basically the premise that, we have lots of things going on in our brain at the same time. We're really excited about things, and life is pretty awesome. And we want to share those with you. And we don't really realize that sometimes you might not want to hear them. You might be thinking about your own stuff. And so if you tell us, don't get angry with us, tell us, and we'll usually get it after one or two tries. But in terms of the things that in terms of not listening, someone walking out of an argument because they realize they've been beaten by someone with ADHD, you don't want that kind of negativity in your life. Walk away. You don't need those people. I found that once I stopped caring about the majority of what the majority of people thought, my life became a lot easier. My parents, my daughter, those are pretty much the only people that matter to me. My girlfriend, other people, they don't pay my mortgage. Fuck 'em. Right. But that being said, I think that one of the things about ADHD is you got to have routines, right? So regardless of the only thing I've done differently because I'm not on stage is I've not shaved, right? But other than that, I wake up every morning and I work out and I take a shower and I get dressed. And even my daughter, who's doing Zoom calls now for her school, she said to me, she goes, "Daddy, why do you keep wearing jeans?" I'm like, "It's what I do," and it works for me. Right. And we got my jeans and my t-shirt, and that's what I know. And that keeps me productive. I'm working on my kitchen table right now because it's the only place where I don't have distractions. Right. In my home, I keep a Regis space in Midtown, which, I mean, they suck anyway, but like, oh, we're not staffing anything and and you get to your office, but no mail, but pay us still. But what I'm realizing is that, at the end of the day, you need to focus on the rituals and routines that keep you going. And those rituals and routines for me, again, keeping minimalism to a maximum, right? So, 2 outfits, right? Same kind of outfits, t-shirt and jeans. Eating relatively healthy, right? As healthy as I could possibly get. And then exercise and sleeping as much as I can. I get to bed around 8:30 at night. My daughter goes down around 8. I'm asleep by around 8:30 and I'm up at 3. So it works.
Yeah, and I think that
it's not easy, but it works.
But the other thing too that I learned from your book was, if you know that you have this deficiency, right? That
it's not a deficiency.
Not deficiency.
It's a gift.
Well, I like that. But okay, so say though that you are fueled better by exercise. You talked about even running up and down a set of stairs before you got on an important call or going into an important meeting. What other tips and tricks like that outside of, jumping on the Peloton? I never feel better than when I go for a run or jump on my Peloton. But just even thinking about like, oh, I'm going to go up and down the stairs a bunch of times just to fuel me a little bit, so I'm a little more focused into this next meeting or call. Yeah. When we're home, what else can we do like that?
Well, fortunately, even though we're home, we still have the ability to use our own bodies, right? What you get from running up a flight of stairs, you'll get the same exact thing from 20 squats.
Right.
Right. If you don't think that's enough, pick up your dog, pick up your child, squat with them. Right.
And what does that do? Why does that help?
Because exercise fundamentally changes your brain. It releases, when you exercise, your brain's like, what the hell are you doing? This hurts. Stop doing this. This is stupid. Okay, you're not going to stop doing it. Fine. I'll release dopamine. That way you won't feel the pain.
Right.
Well, dopamine is a wonderful concentration drug, right? Dopamine allows you to focus. There's a reason I skydive. I skydive because when I jump out of airplanes, I feel amazing. And when I land, I bring my laptop to the drop zone. I jump, I land in the landing area, take off my parachute, throw it in the corner, pull out my laptop, write 10,000 words in 30 minutes because I'm unbelievably focused.
Right.
So doing anything, squats, jumping jacks, whatever, push-ups, will give you the fundamental shift that you need to focus.
Do you get that out of doing Ironmans too? I know that when I would run marathons for like a week after, I would have this unbelievable high.
Well, yeah, you're high because you're in a lot of pain, and so your body's producing extra endorphins and things like that to make you feel better. But the thing about an Ironman, my logic for an Ironman is no different than a marathon. I just figure, why suck at one sport when I can suck at 3?
You can't suck at any of them if you're doing an Ironman.
No, I've done an Ironman. I've sucked at them. It's very possible.
All right. Well,
I have my favorite Ironman story. The first race I ever did, 2010. I did Ironman Cozumel, and I was sitting. I was running HARO at the time, and so I was talking about it in HARO. And one of the head of PR for Jelly Belly, the Jelly Belly, the jelly beans, noticed that I was doing it, and they make something called sport beans, which are these like jelly beans that are sports, like Gatorade and jelly bean. And they sent me a whole bunch. They sent me a jelly belly training shirt, like a jersey, and I wore it during the race. And so I'm sitting like 5:30 in the morning, sitting in the dock of the bay in Cozumel, just trying not to, praying that I won't die. And this guy comes over to me, and it's the German guy. His weighs about 1/10 of what I do, and he's like, "I see you are sponsored athletes too. I are you hoping to, are you looking to for a good time today? And I'm like, yeah. They gave me a shirt. And he's like, well, what is your time? Are you hoping to place? Am I hoping to play? Sir, I can see by your 85 pounds and the shirt that says Cervelo that you're sponsored by arguably the world's fastest triathlon bike in the world. Sir, if you look at my shirt, you'll notice I'm sponsored by fucking Candy. No, I'm not hoping to place. I need you to go away. And so it's one of those things. Like, I do it, and I don't. I'm doing it for Leukemia Lymphoma Society, and feel free to post that link right now, because if any of your audience feels like doing something good, donate to Leukemia Lymphoma Society for my Ironman. They're a wonderful organization. Cancer does not take a break just because we're all stuck inside. But my goal is to finish, and they're giving out all the jerseys. There are 4 of us for Ironman this year for Leukemia Lymphoma, and they're sending us our fitting kits for our jerseys, and they're like, okay, yeah, you'll be fine. They're all really, really thin, and they're modeled skinny, and I'm like, you fucking have never dealt with someone like me on your team, have you? I'm like, I'll run that race probably around 200 pounds, and that's more than likely maybe like 5% of the people who do Ironmans are over 200, and I'll finish, and I'll finish before a lot of other people, right? But I'm not gonna fucking win.
So, I think this is a really good point, because people will say, oh, you run a marathon. And I'm like, well, I finished the marathon. So it's funny that, people will start to see why I love this book, because you don't have to be an amazing athlete to do these things, but if it makes your life better. And, that story reminds me, when I ran my first marathon, there was that, the brunch the day before when you're running for a charity, and people were like talking about their times, the same. What's your time? What's your time? And I said, Monday.
Someone said, what's your time goal? I said, same day, right?
Right. They're like, what's your goal? And I said, Monday. And because it was my first marathon. And there were some people that were running, and they looked at me so angry, like I wasn't taking it seriously, and I'm like, I'm running for charity.
I ran New York in 2006. I'd gotten dumped. I spent 6 months doing nothing but training, working, and sleeping. And I went from a 5:10 to a 3:58. And I will never run a 3:58 again. I'll never see 3:58 again. But the funniest part is, like, you get to like mile 22, and the people I hate are the people that get mile 22 and mile 23 who are sitting there. You look awesome. No, I fucking don't. I've been running for 23 fucking miles. I know exactly how I look. Stop lying. You look awesome. What's wrong with you?
So the story is just do it, and you will feel so much better. So actually, with that, and maybe this is a big question, but so many kids are medicated now. And now I will say that I started Adderall this year for the first year, and I'm 46, and it's changed my life. I wish I'd started it 20 years ago. But so many kids aren't getting the exercise that they used to. And is that really maybe part of it? Is it that they would be more focused, and they would be more able to take care of things if they were just running around more and getting more exercise?
Yeah, I see. Who is it? Kat? What's her name? I see Catherine's post. So look, I'm not anti-med, right? I have a prescription for Concerta. I take it maybe a couple times a month. Right, I take it when my assistant calls me and says, if you don't get me your goddamn expense reports, you're not getting paid. Get that shit done. All right, I'll sit down and do it. But the thing that I find is that I noticed that pills don't teach skills, right?
Right.
So what happens? You put a 5-year-old on Adderall because he's acting like he's 5, right? And then he winds up spending the next 18 years on Adderall. Now he's 23, 26, whatever. He's off his parents' insurance. Now he can't afford it, right? He can't get the Adderall. Well, he hasn't learned anything.
Right.
All he knows is to take a pill. He hasn't learned the skills needed. I mean, I didn't start taking Concerta probably about 4 years ago. And I am super happy that I didn't, because being able to learn all these things, all these hacks about my brain and experiment with them, right? And do body hacking and brain hacking and back in high school, speaking at a turn in class and getting in trouble wasn't a hack, but it was what I found out years later is I wasn't trying to interrupt the class. I was trying to get a reaction from the kids, because if they laughed at a joke that I made, that gave me endorphins, that gave me dopamine, which allowed me to focus. I just didn't realize it at the time, right? So it's all these things, you gotta learn about the skills you need, before you start only relying on the pills. I see Cheryl, she asks, is there a correlation between procrastination and ADD, ADHD?
Yeah.
I'm going to answer that tomorrow. No, I'm kidding. There actually is a huge correlation. And here's the thing about procrastination. When you have ADD or ADHD, soon is not an actuality, right? Soon, if someone says, hey, Peter, can you give me this project whenever you have a second? You're never going to get it. right? I was just having this argument. It's so funny. I was just having this argument with my girlfriend today because she's like, I gave you all these ideas and you didn't do any of them. Like, but you never assigned a date to any of them, right? Soon is not an actual. If you tell me something's due soon, I'm going to start working on it immediately. But as soon as the next person says, hey, can you get this done? That's going to take precedence. Right? So if you tell me it's due at Thursday at 2, you're going to have it Thursday at 2.
Right. Right. So interrupting, is that the same thing where?
Why are you talking? No, I'm kidding. Interrupting, yes, it is. And it's not because we're rude. It's because I was giving a speech once and someone said, I think it was in Texas, and the person goes, we're all from Texas. Can you speak a little slower? I'm like, I'm from New York. Can you listen a little faster? Right? It's not, we're not interrupting you because we want to be rude. We're interrupting because you're taking too damn long to get to your point. Right? I could have had 4 bottles of wine in the time it took you to finish that one sentence. Speak clearly and faster. I'm sorry, there's no better way to say that.
I find great humor that my parents are actually on this webinar, and I can only imagine what they're thinking watching this. See, I was right all along.
That's so true, though. I mean, I remember I was dating someone years ago, 15 years ago, and one of the reasons we broke up was because she couldn't handle the fact that I kept finishing her sentences. And I'm like, I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm doing it because I don't like to waste time. We could have been at the restaurant already. Instead, we're still in the apartment. Just speak. Do I have the ability to hyper-focus? Cheryl asks. Oh my God. So were you here when I said I wrote a book in 31 hours and I'm fighting back to Asia? Hyper-focus is my life. I don't have a middle ground. I have Namaste and I'll cut a bitch. There is no middle ground. There's only hyper-focus and sleeping. That's pretty much it.
So interesting about this group today. I'm looking at my poll real quick. This is the lowest, the I love working from home I've seen in 2 weeks. It's 30%. It's been hovering 44 to 50%. So it might be that the group that's watching right now needs to get the hell out of their house, right? For 41% of you, it's working pretty well now. And 28% can't wait to get back to the office. So I'm going to think that either something has changed dramatically, or this is the audience that we brought in today is ready to get out of the house.
I just can't wait to get back on a plane. And if that's my office, then so be it.
I just want to be downtown where there's energy and people and things going on, right?
I hate people. Just put me on a plane. I get my headphones on. I sit down. I write. I don't even need people. People suck.
Yeah, my father just said, "You better believe" in the chat. Dad, God.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, see, Dad, awesome. My dad's an engineer. Do you know what it's like for me to grow up like me and have an engineer?
I love it. Yeah, I get it. But you know what the funny thing is? I could turn around and show you in terms of hyper focus. This was my weekend. I for the first time in my life, I didn't have my daughter last weekend, like for the first time in a long time. So you know what I did? I built this moon lander. I built this ISS. I built this ship in a bottle. Right? All these, I built like 4 Legos. It was phenomenal. I had such a blast. I built the Saturn V rockets over in the corner. It was awesome. And I sat down, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to build this. And built the entire thing in like 3 hours.
That's right. That's right. And it goes back to that hyper focus that you can do when your brain's in the right space, right?
Yep. Marie asked about lists. Yes, lists are hugely important. I write a lot about that in the book Faster Than Normal, but also check out a book called Listful Thinking.
She's on next week.
Oh, well,
Paula Rizzo.
Paula. Yeah, Paula's the shit. I like Paula.
That's, you know what? We didn't even plan that. Paula Rizzo is on next week.
Send Paula my love. She's the bomb.
I will do that.
And I mentioned her in the book as well. She has some good stuff.
So how do you temper your perspective on people suck when you need to be on your best behavior? Because sometimes we do.
I smile. What did Iron Man, Tony Stark, what's his name in real life? The guy who plays Iron Man.
Yeah.
He said, smile, nod, agree appropriately, and then do whatever the hell you want to anyway.
Right. Robert Downey Jr. Yeah.
I mean, I'm really about, I will tolerate people to a point as long as I have an outlet to exercise. As long as I can go by cycling, I'm fine. Right. But one more question. I think with people with ADD, ADHD have a harder time working for others. Oh, fuck yes. Cheryl, I had, are you kidding me? My entire career, my entire school career the number one comment on every single report card was does not play well with others. Right. And I have more than accepted that. I had one job in my life. I worked for America Online from 1996 to 1995, 1997, when AOL was the internet. I left AOL and moved back to New York. And that was the last time I worked for someone. It's been 23 years since I've been on my own, and it's the best decision I ever made in my life.
On the flip side of that, isn't it the stat 99% of entrepreneurs are ADD, ADHD? Would you say?
I don't know if it's 99%, but it's certainly a large number. But again, a lot of them are undiagnosed. Hell, 75% of incarcerated men in America are ADD, ADHD, and undiagnosed.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right? Because think about it. What are you going to go if you can't get that dopamine from positive sources like exercise or whatever? Where are you going to turn? You turn crime, drugs, things that give you that same effect. I can tell you, snorting a line of coke gives you the exact same high as a skydive or a run. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it comes with a lot of downside.
Right. Right. We're coming to the end and wrapping up here, but I think this is a really good question. Do you think all ADHD people are like you? I would say no, but there's similarities of. There
are some similarities, but I mean, we're all different. I am the most introverted extrovert you'll ever meet in your life. What does that mean? Put me on stage in front of 10,000 people and maybe I am home. That's my world, right? Mm-hmm. I am just the happiest person in the world on stage. Put me at a dinner party with 7 other people where I have to make small talk, and I am in the back bedroom playing with the cat because people suck, right? But, you find those few people in your life who can tolerate you and who you can tolerate and just hold on really tight to them. That's the best advice I can give you. That and the advice that a skydiving friend gave to me, which this day is he said 2 things. The first thing he said, and he was an old skydiver, so you want to listen to old skydivers because if they haven't died yet, they're obviously smart enough to stay alive. So the first one was, if you can't change the people around you, change the people around you. Right? And that just radically changed my, that was like, and the second one is, if you don't like where you are, move, you're not a tree. Right? So if you're miserable, stop being unhappy, stop bitching about it, just change. A lot of people, I wish I could do what you do. I wish I could get up so early and exercise. Why can't you? Do you live somewhere in the world where you don't have you have less than 24 hours in the day? Oh, well, it's not that you can't. It's just you choose not to. You choose to do other things that take priority, right? I had someone in my life. I always says to me, I wish I could get up so early and exercise. I don't know how you do it. I'm like, well, I go to sleep early. I just wish I could do it. I'm like, you're not listening. I saw that you liked some guy's car picture on Facebook at 1:30 in the morning. Right. I bet if you were sleeping right then, you could probably get up earlier. I'm just saying.
I love that Bob Kramer noted that this is a great session today. Yes, you live this every day, babe. So you have better have loved this session.
Show your love. Donate to my Ironman. Donate to Team in Training and support leukemia lymphoma research.
Yeah, well, and actually, to that point, because all of the foundations like that are hurting right now. People are not as focused on them as they could be. And guess what? People just need this just as much as they ever have, if not more. So please do that. And of course, if you're taking the time to still do that level of exercise, then, they deserve every dollar. Peter, this has really been great. I got to do a quick plug for tomorrow. Thank you, everybody who's come today. These webinars have been so much fun, and I have learned so much. I hope you have too. And tomorrow is Royce Lovett. If you were watching The Voice last fall, Royce was one of the contestants. He was the Tallahassee-based R&B artist that got Gwen Stefani up and dancing and dancing in front of him, that she had to be his coach. And he's terrific. He's going to be on tomorrow, and he's going to be singing Sunday morning. And they've had 1,000,001 streams on Spotify. And we did a call with him earlier. It was super fun. And I'm psyched to have him on tomorrow. So Peter, this has been really great. Thanks so much for coming on, and, keep at it. So,
my pleasure. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.